Hey, Kevin Rundlett here, discussing issues in workers' compensation in the state of Mississippi. Today, I'm going to try to give some pointers on the best way to testify if you have to go to what's called a final hearing on the merits in a workers' comp case. Now, there are really two avenues where the client may have to testify. One would be in a deposition, which we'll cover in a different video. And today, we're talking about testifying at a final hearing on the merits. So we've talked about the final hearing on the merits being similar to the trial in your workers' comp case, where you're going to prove to the judge either that the injury is legitimate and or that you're entitled to wage benefits. The medical benefits are ongoing and part of the process if you prevail at the final hearing. So how should you testify if you have to do this? First of all, don't be nervous. That's easy for me to say. You will be nervous, but try to just have confidence in what's happening, because you know the case, you know what happened, and your attorney should have practiced some of these questions with you so you know what to do. And if you've given a deposition, you already have a little practice on what's going to happen. So your attorney will call you as the witness, and then he or she will ask you questions, all related to the claim, really. What type of injury was it? What happened? How did it happen? You're going to need to testify about your education history. What other jobs that you've held in the past. You're going to need to talk about exactly how the injury happened and how that has affected you. You'll also need to testify about the treatments you've received and anything the doctor may have indicated you'll need in the future. That is, in a nutshell, how it works. Now, a couple of things to think about when you're sitting in that witness stand. There's not going to be a jury like you see on TV. There's going to be an administrative judge sitting on the bench. There'll be a little witness area where you're sitting, and your attorney will be standing here asking you questions. So when your attorney is asking you questions, it's called direct examination. So the intent is to ask open-ended questions. How did this injury happen? And then you, the witness, can explain how it happened. Now, first of all, be very careful to listen to the question that's being asked. Pause for just a moment as you think about the answer, and then provide the answer. And when you provide the answer, the human inclination is to talk back to your attorney and tell him the answers. Well, I already know the answers to these questions. The person that needs to be convinced is sitting right up there. So when I ask a question, or when your attorney asks a question, I recommend that you turn and look at the judge and provide the answer, because he's the one that has to make the decision. It's best if he feels that you're talking directly to him and not that he's just sitting on the sidelines overhearing something happening. So practice and prepare. Your attorney should work with you on that. Be honest. Don't ever try to embellish or make things seem worse than they are or better than they are. Just be very honest. If you're honest, there's nothing you have to worry about keeping up with. When people start telling untruths or embellishing the truth, they start to get in trouble. Because remember, once your attorney gets done asking you these questions, I'm going to sit down, and the defense attorney is going to stand up, and he's going to start asking you cross-examination questions, which can be a little uncomfortable. But again, if you're honest and you answer those cross-examination questions very simply and just answer the questions that are being asked, then you have nothing to worry about. So that's kind of how the testimony will go if you have to go to a final hearing in the merits. I hope this helps. If you have any other questions, just send us a message, let us know. I love answering these questions on these videos to help people just like you out. So I hope you have a great day.